Was Jesus' biggest mistake the cross? In Gethsemane, Jesus was so confused and conflicted that he may have even triggered hematidrosis, bursting his blood vessels in the sweat glands. His dilemma was how to handle the plot by the religious leaders to have him killed. On the one hand, he could just watch them manipulate the Roman governor into ordering his execution. On the other, he could use his intelligence and wisdom to either placate the religious leaders by explaining his approach or expose their corruption and seek the governor's protection against them. These diplomatic options may well have been better. A path of compromise that would have kept everyone in the safer middle ground of morality, instead of Jesus taking the righteous martyr role at one extreme and pushing the others into the murderous role at the opposite end. His message of love could have continued, and it would have replaced martyrdom with diplomacy as a new religious precedent showing how to avoid violence. As the saying goes, jaw is better than war. Instead, he chose martyrdom. But this should only be chosen as a last resort when all the other options have failed. In Jesus' case, the loss of his life probably could have been avoided. After all, the Roman governor and his wife were on his side, believed he was innocent, wanted to release him. And before this, the religious court had found no evidence against him and had given him the chance to justify himself. But Jesus appeared to not only ignore these chances, but to deliberately irritate those trying to help him, as though he was seeking martyrdom. This had chilling consequences for the thousands in the years after who needlessly lost their lives and suffered in the most horrendous ways as they followed his example. Perhaps it was Jesus' biggest mistake. Left alone that night in Gethsemane with only his thoughts, he fell victim to the age-old martyr tradition. If only he had set instead a new example of how goodness can strategically work within a complex situation, handling the mix of good and bad characters to keep everyone in the safe middle ground, where there's no need for saints or devils. Then, instead of us throughout time being exposed to the nihilistic horror of the cross, spawning more violence, we could be marking Jesus' greatest achievement, the remarkable diplomacy that won his release.